the 19th of September of this year, the situation has changed absolutely, completely, because the fruits have been recognized, fruits of conversion. And also we can say that Radio Maria is a fruit of Medjugorje. Above all, giving a positive judgment of Our Lady of the Peace, of the message of Our Lady. All the messages together, they're messages that are more important than others. That which is a novelty today, an absolute novelty, that has never happened in an apparition of Our Lady, that the Pope has given a nulla osta to an event like the apparitions of Our Lady in Medjugorje. He has given a judgment, a positive judgment, the most, let's say, the best judgment that the Church can give to an apparition of Our Lady. And according to this rule, the nulla osta is the maximum a Church can give. And the cases are very unique. And the Pope can give the judgment of supernatural, something supernatural. But he did not give this before. The delegate of the Vatican Communications of the Holy See to Radio Maria has said that it also depends on the future perspective. Let us say that all this changes the situation and tells us what is the actual situation, which is the fact that the Church gave the nulla obstat means that Medjugorje is a patrimony, a spiritual patrimony of all the Church. It's not just something secondary. The Church assumes the nature of Medjugorje and accompanies Medjugorje, which comes to this nulla obstat while the apparitions continue. Because all the other times when the Church gave a judgment, the apparitions had finished. Now this apparition continues, so therefore it's unique. So the judgment. So now we continue, and from now on the messages come and are examined by the Church and are given and come with approval of the Church. And we have this, the idea is that this is transmitted in all our radios. The Church has taken this apparition as its own and accompanies the apparitions. The real event that is today in the world are the apparitions of Medjugorje, because not only the faithful go, but also priests from all around the world. Therefore, the situation is different, even for us of Radio Maria. From now on, the messages of the Queen of our Peace for us are important. They're important for the whole Church. They're a light that clarifies all the situations that we live. They give us the future, they give light to the future of the Church, of the world. They're a patrimony that we have to pay attention to. And they're a patrimony that we have to understand and help us understand the world we live in. And we have to understand the work, the mission of Radio Maria in these times. Therefore, I am here to talk to you about the, let's say, the charism of Radio Maria. In this conversation that we're doing, that we're having, it's very important to see two things. First, that Medjugorje is a patrimony of the Church, and the Church has convalidated it and is accompanying the apparitions of Medjugorje. And we accompany the Church in this, and we're all involved in this, because Our Lady is here for a plan that will last a couple of years and which has not finished yet. Because the end of this message is the triumph of her Immaculate Heart. Therefore, what is the interpretation of the nulla obstat given by the Church? It's very simple, that the Church has made its own this event. She has put it inside her pastoral works, in her perspectives, and is following it. And we follow with Mary, with the Church. We're on a journey. It is as to say, we're involved in the plans of Mary. Because there's no doubt that it has never happened, that Our Lady has been in a place, in a public apparition for 43 years, an extraordinary place of evangelization. And from what the Church has shown in these times, is that the Church is proving this event. This is the first time this happens. But why has this event happened? An event like this happened for a first time? Because we have entered in a phase of history which is very special. In a historical passage that Our Lady has liberated us, and the Church has shown us a lot of the dangers for our faith and for the Church. We're in a times where it's very difficult, especially in the countries of old heritage, of Christian heritage. There's a strong anti-clerical, anti-Catholic events. So, because it's more difficult to understand, for example, for the Africans who are living a great moments of grace, but there's a world culture which is anti-Catholic, anti-Eucharistic, which we can prove and see when we read the Catechism of the Church in America, in Europe, even in China, even in Russia, everywhere. We can see that there's a big culture against the world, where there's no place for God, for His faith, for Christ. There's no place for Christianity. In fact, in most part of the world, Christianity is persecuted, even here in the West. We're in times of persecution because, in fact, we cannot even pronounce publicly the name of Christ. We're persecuted. What has happened? What has happened in these times, these 2 centuries? But now, even to a popular level, there's a culture that we can call it a modernist culture, which excludes God. A culture which says that God does not exist, that man is God. That says that man has to replace the place of God, be put in God's place. Therefore, this is the real culture we see today, and which is spreading, and it's common in all states. We can see it in Hinduism, in Islam, that we have entered this phase where in practice, as Our Lady has said, in all this evolution of modern culture, especially in these last 30 years, in the light, we can see in the light of the messages of Our Lady, modernism is resisting to God, and it's proclaiming man as God, which has absolute power. So Catholicism is excluded. It does not even have free will. Even here in Italy, where the Pope is, Christianity is like a subculture, because the real culture that exists today here in Rome, the patron of the world wants to be man. Man wants to be the patron of the world. So Our Lady is here, and she has been here for so long, and she's guiding us and leading us, because faith is being attacked. The roots are being attacked. modernism is attacking. Our Lady gives 5 messages in Medjugorje that Satan has this project to eliminate Christ, to cancel him from history. And it is this, in number 675, is in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. It's saying that man who knows Christ is trying to eliminate him, and all the ideologies of today for the salvation of man. There is science, there is technology, but they're not Christ. So the idea is to replace everything in the place of Christ. And Our Lady has a lot of messages which are very strong, that we have to open our eyes. You, my children, have refused your faith, have rejected the cross. Modern man does not want God and is going towards perdition. Therefore, this is the context, the cultural context in which we live in. So we have to have this in mind, and we have to understand what is the mission of Radio Maria, which is a radio that has to testify and give testimony of the life of Christ as a whole. And Our Lady telling all Christians to gain back their faith, to take it back to their hearts, that Christ is her Son, the only Lord, the only Savior of the world, and there's no other salvation in the world. This is the work of our radios, our vision of evangelizing with courage all the world. And therefore, as you can see, the testimony of our faith is at the first, is number 1, is as to say, Our Lady not only has opened our eyes of what is coming, but look, if we would know the documents of the Church, from Pius XII to Pope Paul VI, John Paul II, to Pope Benedict and Pope Francis, everything that I have said, everything that Our Lady has said, even the magisterium of the Church says it. Therefore, all the impulse, all the strength of the anti-clerical, anti-God movement is doing to put man in the place of God. Therefore, this has come to be, and we can understand why Our Lady is present, so that the Church will not sink, so that man is not surprised. We have seen here in Europe sensibly, we have touched with our hands how our churches are empty without youth. Europe, he has a 5% of people in church. People are leaving their faith. That's the truth of Europe. And in other places, it's not that things are much better. Therefore, this is the passage, the historical passage in which we live in. It's as to say that paganism in the place of Christianity, man in the place of God. Therefore, it's an attack that has never been seen in these two millenniums. Therefore, in this light, we have to understand the apparition of Our Lady of Medjugorje, because from the very beginning, she has wanted to cultivate the faith through her messages, and she wants to put the light of Christianity, who is her Son, the Church, the Eucharist. Therefore, she has chosen a parish. She has centered the parish with prayer, with the Eucharist, with the cross, to go to the heart of Christianity. And let's say she has called in these parishes, in this parish, all people, but especially the priest. Medjugorje is the sanctuary where the priest should go, where the priest should go to discover their faith, their ministry, their enthusiasm of testimony. And there are millions and millions of many priests that go every year to reconfirm themselves in faith, in prayer, and to take this message to their parishes. If there had not been a collapse in Christianity in the West in these years, it's thanks to Our Lady of Peace, who has vivified, who has given it life again, calling the Church to her conversion of the faith of Christ, the Eucharist. This is the great work of Our Lady, and which she's doing in all Christians, and that we must follow. We must follow because it's the end, the aim, the work of our radios. According to my belief, the most important thing is that now, let us say, a possibility to go ahead is that the Church has valued positively that Our Lady has retained to the words to the Pope, because we know that it's the Pope that has given the nulla obstat. Probably there was not a most people did not want to choose this idea, but probably it was the Pope himself mainly that, by the influence of the Holy Spirit, has given us this nulla obstat. And by this vision, this initiative, we are also invited with Our Lady to do her program, to follow her program, to vivify the faith, to fortify the Church, to renovate the faith of the Church in all the parts of the world. And this is the great novelty that we have in front of our eyes. To this, I want to say that the document, the note of the Holy See, you have to read it. You have to read this note. I'm explaining it to you I'm explaining a chapter by day. It's a bit long, but all the messages, it talks about all the most important messages of Medjugorje, which are a fountain of spirituality for ourselves and all our listeners. And these messages we can see of the evangelization that Our Lady has done in these years, which are something extraordinary. This regarding everything together, but that which interests us most are the perspectives. As a great cardinal said of the Catholic Church, the Cardinal of Bologna, Caffarra, he said that Medjugorje has a particularity which other apparitions do not have. Maybe the one of Quibejo, which is, according to his vision, which is the vision also of St. John Paul II, there's a program of our Church, of Our Lady, that goes from Fatima through Medjugorje until to the very end of the triumph of her Immaculate Heart. And it's the plan of Mary in the Church. It's a prophecy in the Church that she herself is walking along to the end. And this first part has had as fruits sustained by the Church in the modern world, defending the faith of the modernist attack. But let us say it opens the perspectives that we have seen, that we can see before our eyes. And they're these of this world that dangerously is destroying itself. So she gives us the solutions. Faith itself is, as to say, will dissolve. So we can see how in these years after Christ, how the world has woken up with the Arianism, and all the world woke up most of the world woke up of the West being an Arianism by the influence of the emperor. They rejected the faith in Jesus Christ. And this was the waking up of the church to affirm the divinity of Christ. But the same thing is happening now. Even Catholicism is risking a collapse. Because as Pope Benedict said, it does not believe anymore in the divinity of Christ. It does not believe He's the only Lord and Savior of the world. Therefore, as Pope Benedict said, you ask yourself, why has Pope Benedict, when he was made Pope in the first, why did he spend time writing a book called Jesus of Nazareth? Because he was defending the divinity of Christ. What is happening now in Christianity is this, that the most important mysteries of the Church, which is the divinity of Jesus Christ, the only Savior and Lord, His presence in the Eucharist, all this is dissolving itself, is being attacked day by day in this mentality of the world that exists and that we can see. If you go to a plaza, to a park, and ask, who of you believe, if you go to the Piazza Duomo in front of the Milano Cathedral, and you ask today, who believes in the divinity of Jesus Christ, that of 100 people, only 2 will lift up their hands. And this is what's happening in the West. There's a lack of faith. That's why we have, with the presence of Our Lady, she is sustaining the faith of the Church regarding her Son, Jesus Christ. That which interests us is to put our radio in the perspective that is ahead of us. Because if we want to put it in very simple words, what sense does it have, the presence of Our Lady Medjugorje? In these 40 years, have been the preparation for an event that will come, that is to come. They're a prophecy until they come to be. But the Church, this prophecy of Medjugorje, the Church knows this prophecy because it's the same prophecy as that of Fatima, and which will be accomplished in the triumph of her Immaculate Heart. So what we have in front of us is this plan from Fatima to Medjugorje that has to do with the near future. And we have to know where we're going. We have to know what we have to do, what works we have to do. We're going towards a future, as Benedict XVI said before dying, there are 2 realities that we have before our eyes. 2 realities that we can even experience and verify. First, the world that's going to its destruction, to its self-destruction, and which can happen from one moment to the other. Like all the nuclear bombs that are being all these political attacks and threats, like with the nuclear bombs, they could dominate the end of the world. It's a reality which we are living. And Our Lady has given us 3 fundamental revelations. If you destroy life, human life, this is the first reality. Satan wants the destruction of the world, and he has the weapons to do this. And there are political parties that are under his domain, his dominion, because he has conquered their hearts with hate. Therefore, that's the reality of the world. There are many places where hate explodes. And if hate explodes and if God does not interfere, we can arrive to actions that can actually destroy the world in which we live in. This of the auto self-destruction is a possibility that seems to be unstoppable. No political party is capable today of stopping this self-destruction. We have I don't know how many nuclear bombs that can be destroying, and we're giving up. We're giving up with the logic, because the prince of this world can destroy it. He has the weapons to destroy the world. So we need of Our Lady, the messages of Our Lady, and also the message that Radio Maria can give. The other aspect that we have under our eyes is that the world is like this today because it has abandoned God. It has given the place of God to man. Our Lady has said this to us 3 times. So God loves us and He's protecting us, and she's there for this message, to save us from the auto-destruction and to give us some time of peace. But another reality is, which we have under our eyes, it's the destruction, the melting of the faith in the church, because that's where modernism is putting the souls. Mary's saying Satan is controlling, wants to control all the souls. And many people live as if God did not exist anymore. Therefore, it's like people think and believe God does not exist, that He's just a play, an essay. How many people do we see that believe in the West? These are the perspectives, and in the world itself, how many people today really believe in God? So what is the success of the next future? Let's say, in the next future, will the world survive? In the near future, will the church will she be able to survive? Or will the prince of this world reign? Nobody can give an answer, but Our Lady has already given us this answer in Fatima, that at the end of everything, at the end of all this, her Immaculate Heart will triumph. Therefore, Our Lady is here to tell us, to proclaim her victory, and to accompany the Church in this great battle, which is the battle of faith, a battle of faith, a great battle of peace. And therefore, as St. John Paul II said, the Church will go through a great persecution, which is summarized in the 3rd secret of Fatima. As we can see that the Church is in pilgrimage, and one by one they're being killed. And when the Pope arrives at the summit of the Calvary, he's even killed with weapons of fire and arrows. Now, Pope Benedict, about this 3rd secret of Fatima, in Fatima in 2007, in front of 500 million people, said, in part, this has come to be. In part, part of it will come to be. These are the years of the great battle. The great battle between the Lady and the dragon. The 10th chapter of the Apocalypse, the woman dressed in sun, with the battle against the dragon. This is what we're waiting for. I mean, this is what will come to be. From the first day, Our Lady of Medjugorje, she appeared with a beautiful crown of stars on her head. Even now, she appears every day with this crown. It's the time of the great battles, apocalyptic battles, which Our Lady battles against the prince of this world. This is the reality, dear friends, that we have in front of our eyes. This is the time of test. This is a time of battle, but which is illuminated by the presence of Our Lady, because Our Lady of Medjugorje has promised, has assured us that she will appear every day to one of the visionaries until the end of her Immaculate Heart. Therefore, this will be a presence. This is a presence that we have to follow, a presence which gives us courage, which teaches us the message. She is present in these great wars, these battles that will change the world, a battle that will come, from which will come a world that will make peace with God. I will explain this to you tomorrow. But I wanted to finish with this perspective, which is very important. That obviously this perspective of Radio Maria is the radio of hope in a world where hope is turning off. Our Lady is the only hope that we have to testimony, and we have to give hope to others. We have to pray with this intercession with her. As Our Lady says, pray with me because the devil wants to is attacking. This is a time where we have to be apostles of Mary. It's not just enough to be directors or presidents or collaborators. We have to be apostles of Mary. And the apostles of Mary means to be dedicated to Our Lady. People that have the courage to testify, to give testimony of Our Lady. That with Maria can take people to her Son, to Christianity, to the only Savior of the world, who is Jesus Christ. This is the perspective that we have to put ourselves in. To be apostles of Mary, which is, as to say, the perspective which we're called, which calls us to conversion, which calls us to be apostles of Mary. I want to say people, Christian people convinced, with disposition, that give testimony by words and by deeds to all those who do not believe, to those who are far, which there are in all parts of the world. Let's think about China, India, so many people, even in Islam, people that are not faithful, people that have a lot of ideologies in their minds, for all the people of the world, and even for those in our families related. We have to be people that give testimony of hope. On the other hand, according to you, who in the world today can assure us the peace of the world? If there were an Antichrist, there would be a false peace, a false Antichrist peace, because the only peace is found in Jesus Christ, who has sent Our Lady. This historical passage that we're walking through, it's for the near future, where, as John Paul II said, Saint John Paul II, in 1980, before the attempt against his life, it was a year and a half that he was Pope already. In a monastery, German monastery called Fulda, he wanted to reveal part of the secret of Fatima, which we know partially, because that secret was revealed in the year 2000, was revealed partially, not all. But John Paul II said that he wanted to manifest part of it, not all, so as to not to give an advantage to the communism, the world communism in those times. When it speaks about those that follow the church. But he said that the church had to pass through a very bloody persecution, and there was no other way to renew its word. And this was published in the Vatican documents. We know by the different Radio Marias around the world that there's persecution. It's part of our testimony. But the meaning of our mission is that if Our Lady brings this distribution of Radio Maria all around the world, if she has done miracles so that this would come to be, that's why we can transmit in every continent. There's not one place where you cannot hear Radio Maria with web or with the normal frequency. It's because Our Lady wanted. It's because it is necessary. The radio is necessary for these difficult times which we're living and which will come. Faith will be put to a test. This is our mission, the testimony of faith, above all, the testimony of the victory of Our Lady as hope. If you are mine, Our Lady says, if you are mine, you will win with me. And then the testimony of faith. Radio Maria is also the peace, right? What calls to peace. So it's also about forgiveness to one another. And from forgiveness, peace comes too. At the end of this test, towards which we're walking, the world will change. In her victory, the Church will become the light of people, and the world will have a time of peace. In this context is, my dear friends, the great mission of Radio Maria, which is a great mission. We, following Our Lady of Peace, following the Church that has given her presence in Medjugorje, we have been called to support the plan of Our Lady. And that's why Our Lady is helping us be in different parts of the world. That's why she protects us. It's because of this, because we would have never thought of this flourishment of Radio Maria, because it's her project. It's her project, and we are the means by which her project can walk through history. It's a marvelous thing. When they ask me, Father Livio, how do you do? Let's say like this, to be always, every morning, as to say, so ready for battle when I put myself in front of the microphone. When I'm in front of the microphone, I have to, let's say, burn for the whole world. It's because I know that I'm her apostle. I know that I'm her laborer. That's why I'm courageous. And that's why we have to do everything she asks. And that's how we all have to be. The presidents, the directors, the collaborators, apostles of Mary, 100%. A lot of it is expected from us. And that which blesses helps us. She gives us offerings. We have to wake up. We have to wake up our souls. We have to be ready. We have this future in front of us, following the Church. The Pope, don't forget, dear friends, that which Don Bosco says. The Catholic, he never puts in discussion the Pope, the Church, and the Eucharist. We cannot put these things in discussion, the Pope, the Eucharist, and the Church. Therefore, having this in mind and knowing what we have to do, having this very clear, the plan of Mary, I want to say 2 words about our personal lives, something which the President has asked me to do. Therefore, dear friends, that which I want to say is that we have to convert ourselves. We have to convert. Believe me, if we don't convert, we'll lose ourselves. We have to become Mary's sons. We have to fall in love with Mary. We have to become apostles of Mary. This especially for the priest, but also for the presidents and the collaborators. Because if we are Marian 100%, because if she's not our patroness 100% of everything we do, then we won't be able to do anything. And we can always be at risk by taking other people, not saving other people. This is something fundamental. And this is what Our Lady is doing at Medjugorje, making so many priests get there, priests that arrive from every part of the world, because they have to go the observance of the commandments above all, the fortification of faith, put at the first place prayer life. Dear all, we must discover the messages of Our Lady of Peace. First of all, prayer. Second, faith. Third, conversion. But prayer must be a prayer with which we can enter in communion with Mary, so that she becomes our mother, she becomes a real presence that purifies us, that invites us to be purified, that she invites us to consume ourselves in service with our work of every day, without stopping, always be at everybody's service, to be of Mary. If we belong to Mary, we will win. This is the principal thing I want to say to you. But I don't find the words to say this. You must yourselves understand that Our Lady must become the lady of our life, the queen of our life, of our thoughts, of our sentiments. This can only be accomplished if we pray. We have to give time to prayer. We have to say well our Mass. We have to say our prayer, the Rosary, every day. We have to pray every day. Because through prayer, Our Lady will speak to us. She will give us courage. She will give us blessings. She will give us her words, her sentiments. All this, everything that I have said, would be useless, because it all has to happen within us. The conversion is something from within. Our holiness, our love of Mary, our faithfulness to Our Lady. That is the most important thing of all. That will take us to the victory, to peace and victory. We don't have to forget that we have already started the times of test, of trial. The most important will be the trial of faith, of peace without God, a peace with men. That's going to be the most difficult thing. The seduction of a world without God, that will propose to you salvation without God. Those antichrist trials are already given to us by the world, and they're all without faith and against faith. So we have to be attentive. We have to be attentive, because only in unity with Christ, with the Eucharistic Christ, with prayer, with an open heart in front of Christ, with the cross, with Mary, a straight life, only this can save us. This is what we have to do. This is our shield with which we have to cover ourselves. As St. Louis Marie de Montfort would say, that the apostles of Christ, vested with Mary, are invincible. And with Radio Maria, with apostles of Mary, who are the presidents, the directors, and the faithful, will be those that will help Our Lady of Peace win in this battle, which will be the first battle, anti-Christian battle, anti-Christ battle. And this will be the victory of the Catholic Church. We know this. In the near future, with all these persecutions, as the Secrets of Fatima say, in this future, faith will be put to a test. So this Antichrist ideas will try to seduce us, because they want the world to be saved without Christ, without the faith. Therefore, it is a big test for the faithful and for us priests. So this resistance to the political, to the devil, which is being felt, putting man in the place of God, as Our Lady has said, she said, that man has put himself in the place of God. And therefore, because man has put himself in the place of God, now Satan, Satan is putting himself in the place of God and wants to be adored. Therefore, John Paul II said, there's no other possibility than a great persecution, so that the Church will come out victorious. And it's very clear. The near future is very clear. The Christian faith, with Mary, with the Pope, with the Christian creed, Catholic creed, towards martyrdom, following peace. All this will happen in the near future. In all these times of test, towards the triumph of her Immaculate Heart, Our Lady will appear every day. And this is our perspective. It's a perspective where we have to go to the Calvary to arrive to the resurrection and the triumph of her Immaculate Heart. And the Church and the conversion of the peoples and of those anti-Catholics, for the conversion of the whole world, with China, with India, all these conversions will happen in the near future. How can these happen? How can there be a time of peace if the world does not reconcile itself with God? Because all this, one has to go through Calvary. This perspective for the resurrection of Christ, Christ did go through the Holy Week, Holy Friday, Holy Thursday, and this is for all the world. For the triumph of the Immaculate Heart, there's no doubt one has to go through the Passion. If you're mine, you will win, Our Lady says. I will win with your pastors. There's no doubt about it. But we have to be, as Radio Maria, one of the instruments of her victory. And this certainly will happen. But for this to happen, we personally must become of Mary. Mary has to be the patroness of our life. We have to consecrate ourselves to Our Lady. We have to be of Mary. We have to purify our heart. If there are very heavy things in our lives, we have to get rid of them. We have to confess ourselves. We have to be ready for our battle. We have to be with Mary. Only with Mary, with faith, we can win. Because with Mary, we will surely win. We have to have this retreat of conversion, of personal conversion. Because if we recognize that we are of Our Lady, that we consecrate ourselves to her, that we decide and do for her, that we want to fight for her, that we want to give our life for her. If we do like this, Our Lady will win, and she will win easily, and she will win universally. And the perspective, I'm not doing prophecies, risky prophecies, but there's no doubt that Our Lady is Our Lady of Peace, and that maybe we don't, but our sons and the sons of our sons will see a time of peace as the world has never seen. As Our Lady has said on the 1st of January, a cold winter day, and has called those people in Medjugorje, which were many, She had called them. She called them to go under the rain, under the cold, and everybody there obeyed. Everybody went out. It was something marvelous, and Our Lady said, "After that, you did this for me." So this goes for everybody. If we, as humanity, as Radio Maria, as Catholic Church, the Catholic Church has approved the apparitions. We, together with the Church, we're going towards a marvelous time that will go through the cross, that will go through the history of humanity. As Our Lady said once in the month of December 2012, if you receive the King of Peace, Jesus Christ, this century will be a century of peace and prosperity. So we have in front of us a great battle with a great victory of Our Lady, a great victory of the Church, because now they will convert, and the Muslims and the Muslims and our dear President Ferriero, Moscow will convert, Beijing will convert. This will happen in the near future. So we have to be the protagonist of this battle. But to be protagonist of our battle, we have to belong to Mary. That is what I supplicate to you. Have a real, authentic Catholic life. Cultivate your love for Mary and become. And it's what I say to my listeners every day. Become apostles of Mary. This is the perspective we have every day.
To go forward.
We're very thankful to Our Lady. And we are thankful to the Pope for this nulla obstat. And it's a big grace for Radio Maria, an infinite thank you to the Pope, because he's really a friend of Our Lady of Peace. He is an instrument of Our Lady of Peace. No, don't doubt of our Pope, now or in the future, because Our Lady wants our unity with the Pope. Let's put our eyes on Our Lady, on the Pope, on the Church. This is what we have before us. This is our great mission. This is the mission we have to accomplish. Before finishing, allow me to give thanks to our President, Vittorio Vicardi, because he's really a good person. He's working a lot and very well in Radio Maria in the service of the Church. And I feel very grateful from the heart. I don't want to make him cry, but thank you.
Allora, grazie
So
Padre Livio,
thank you
aveva
so
detto
much,
che era
Father
senza
Livio,
voce, ha parlato
that
per un'ora
despite
senza
without a
dover
voice,
prendere un filo d'acqua.
you spoke without even taking
E poi,
a drink of
come avrebbe
water.
detto Emanuele, ora
And so,
per
Emanuele,
carità, i complimenti li lasciamo alla Madonna, no? Perché comunque
and so
alla fine
we give
diceva
all
a tutti
to Our
voi,
Lady,
ai
because
presidenti
in
che
the end,
comunque
all of
sono
you,
presenti,
presidents,
e agli
all
ascoltatori
present,
che la vera
and listeners,
presidente di Radio Maria è la Madonna. Ecco, quindi
that the
alla
true
fine
president
noi
is our
siamo
Blessed
solo
Mother.
servitori, ecco, da questo
We are
punto
just
di vista.
servants in this
Allora,
point of
grazie
view.
Padre Livio,
Thank you so much,
veramente
Father Livio,
delle tue parole.
for your words.
Era importante
It
essere
is
qua
important
oggi,
to be
tutti i
here
giorni,
today,
e qui tutti insieme in
all the whole
presenza
day
fisica.
together,
Vorrei
in
innanzitutto
present
dare
and
quindi un
online.
caro saluto Come abbiamo
Also,
anticipato ieri,
a
abbiamo
greeting
presentato
in
un po' tutte le
anticipation
delegazioni
yesterday.
di tutti i paesi presenti. Oggi siamo anche in diretta
We
radiofonica
greet
e
also
quindi
those online.
un saluto anche a tutti coloro i quali ci
Greeting to
ascoltano
those who are listening to
sulle
us
frequenze di Radio Maria.
through Radio Maria frequency.
Diciamo che la gran parte
We say
delle nostre radio
that a
sono
great part of our
collegate in diretta,
radio
a parte
is
che c'è qualche
connected with,
difficoltà magari sui fusi orari, però sicuramente questa nostra partecipazione sarà
but
fondamentalmente
surely our
una
participation
partecipazione
is
di tutti gli ascoltatori,
fundamentally
e a questo teneva sempre
a
anche
participation
molto
of all
Emanuele, no?
listeners.
Quando
And
accanto
this
a
is
te
what
fondamentalmente
Emanuele had wanted.
prendeva la parola, sempre si faceva riferimento agli ascoltatori, ecco.
And we always make
E
reference to our
quindi
listeners.
oggi i
And
mezzi
so
di
today,
comunicazione non
the
solo ci
means
danno
of
le frequenze
communications
FM, ma ci ascoltano
are-
sui social,
we don't only listen through FM, but also social
sulle
media
dirette delle nostre
and
app
live through our
e sulla
apps
nostra app di Radio Maria Play.
and also
Quindi un
our
saluto
Radio
a
Maria
tutti,
app. And so
cari ascoltatori.
a
Allora,
greeting to everyone, to our listeners.
volevo anche salutare in
We also
particolar
want
modo
to
oggi sono presenti
greet those
alcune
present,
autorità
some
ecclesiastiche che ci
ecclesiastical
accompagneranno in questi
authorities
giorni.
who accompany us in these days.
Il Monsignor
Bishop
Raja,
Raja,
vescovo di Via
Bishop
Vada di Andhra Pradesh, che sta
of Andhra
iniziando ad
Pradesh in
organizzare
India,
una nuova Radio Maria in
who
India.
has started a
Il
new
Monsignor
Radio Maria in
Tullio,
India. Bishop
Ramirez
Tullio
Padilla,
Ramirez,
il vescovo di Guarenas,
Bishop
che è
of
stato
Guarenas,
anche
also
nella diocesi di Caracas,
in
direttore
the
di
Diocese of
Radio Maria per
Caracas
molti anni, e quindi conosce molto
for many
bene
years,
le battaglie,
and he knows the
di Radio
battle
Maria
of Radio
in questi
Maria
anni.
in these years.
Dovrebbe
We
arrivare
must-
a breve,
We must
se non è
have,
già arrivato, Monsignor
if we don't
Luis
arrive,
Tanguayno,
Bishop
vescovo di
Ruiz,
Bouquet,
Bishop of Bouquet,
della Guinea,
of Guinea,
Guinea Conakry, che voi conoscete, dove esiste
of Guinea,
comunque una Radio Maria e dove fondamentalmente
where
in fondo i cattolici sono una
fundamentally-
piccola minoranza, ecco.
where the Catholics are a
Bene,
minority, a very little minority.
ritroviamo
So we find ourselves
fisicamente
physically
riuniti qui, questa volta a
reunited
Seveso.
here, this time
Abbiamo
at
avuto il
Seveso.
saluto del rettore del centro pastorale
A greeting
ambrosiano.
to the rector.
Dopo 6 anni, poiché
After
il
6
precedente
years,
convegno mondiale
the-
nel 2021 è
the
avvenuto
in
durante quel
2021,
periodo difficile,
during the difficult
delle
time
restrizioni
of
del
the
per
COVID
cui,
restrictions,
pochi,
where very few
quando abbiamo fatto il nostro incontro, hanno potuto partecipare, soprattutto un pochino dagli altri continenti. Quindi oggi è un
we
momento
weren't able
importante
to
comunque per noi,
participate
perché
by the other
riprendiamo
continents.
come consuetudine
But
i
so
nostri
we
incontri
start again
periodici triennali.
our
Sono
triennial
incontri, dove
periodic
avremo
meetings
modo anche
where
di
we'll have the
confrontarci,
opportunity
lavorare
to
e
compare,
soprattutto
work,
stare
and above all
insieme
to be
ed unirci
together and unite
spiritualmente accanto ai
spiritually
nostri
alongside with our
ascoltatori.
listeners.
Quindi,
And so
siamo appunto qui
we're
per
here
il convegno
for the
della
Congress
famiglia mondiale.
of
Siamo
World
presenti,
Family.
giusto per dirlo anche ai
We're
nostri
present
ascoltatori,
here
91
to say to our
delegazioni che
listeners,
rappresentano 91
91
radio, tra
delegations
sacerdoti,
of
direttori
priests,
e
directors, and
presidenti.
presidents.
Come consuetudine in questi 3 anni invitiamo, diciamo, i veri
We
responsabili,
invite
ecco, di questa attività,
the true people
che
responsible
sono
for
appunto i
these activities,
sacerdoti direttori,
the
che
priest
ogni giorno,
directors,
come
who which
Padre
every
Livio,
day,
sono
as
sul
Father
campo di
Livio
battaglia del
said,
microfono,
in
e
the
devo dire
battlefield
che la
of the
particolarità,
microphone,
appunto di Radio Maria è quella proprio di
the point
avere
of Radio Maria,
sacerdoti dati
the
dalla
priests
Chiesa con
given
una missione
by the
canonica
church for
al
their
servizio proprio di
canonical
questa
mission,
missione, e che
also this mission,
quotidianamente,
which every day,
se fondamentalmente hanno il tempo, però
if
insieme ad altri
fundamentally the
collaboratori, ad
time,
altri sacerdoti, danno il messaggio appunto
and the collaborators with the
della
priests
fede,
give the message of the faith above all
dell'insegnamento e della
in the
formazione
teaching
religiosa.
of religious
Quindi,
formation. And so,
siamo provenienti da
coming
ben 82
from
paesi del mondo. Non è
82
stato
countries
neanche
around the world,
facile quest'anno, voi sapete che
we know that this
in
year
molti paesi
it hasn't been very
c'è
easy,
sempre ultimamente anche molte restrizioni
especially
per
lately
ottenere
with all the
visti,
restrictions.
e questa volta
This
riguardano
time,
anche le autorità della Chiesa, non sempre neanche i sacerdoti riescono ad avere visti in tempo. Questo mostra anche un pochino i tempi in cui stiamo vivendo, no? Ci stiamo separando.
This shows the times that we are living.
Più difficoltà in qualche
There's always
modo,
more difficulties
comunque,
that nevertheless
si bada di più a far fluire i commerci, ma si creano barriere tra le persone. Quindi è già un piccolo, piccolo
among
miracolo
peoples.
riuscire ad avere
There's been a
82
little
paesi
miracle that
proprio con le
82
situazioni
countries
che
are here
comunque anche le varie
present,
organizzazioni mondiali stanno attraversando.
that various
Volevo
organizations are
salutare
going
anche
through.
quei pochi paesi che non sono potuti pervenire,
A few
gli 8
countries
paesi
could
che non
not
hanno potuto
attend for various
partecipare,
reasons,
che ci stanno seguendo,
that are following us
comunque
still, nevertheless,
insieme
together
attraverso la radio
through
e
the
internet,
radio and
e
internet,
soprattutto un ricordo
especially
speciale a Radio Maria Nicaragua, che spero
shout
che
out
la
to
Madonna ci aiuti a riportare
Radio
presto
Maria Nicaragua,
on air,
and we
perché
hope
appunto
that
sappiamo
Our
le
Lady will help
difficoltà
us to
degli ultimi mesi
bring this
che
radio
sta
back
vivendo
on
la
air
Chiesa
soon.
Cattolica, e quindi tutte le organizzazioni cattoliche. Radio Maria
And
Nicaragua
so,
ha resistito
and Radio
per
Maria
molto tempo.
Nicaragua has
Adesso
resisted
fondamentalmente cercheremo
to all the
di
difficulties
trovare i
they are
modi e i
experiencing
tempi,
there.
e spero appunto che la Madonna ci aiuti
And so we hope that
a
our Blessed
ridare il
Mother will
segnale
help
agli ascoltatori del Nicaragua.
Allora,
Padre Livio
bring back to
ha
air the radio for our
contestualizzato
listeners.
bene
And so Father
la
Livio
realtà del mondo
has
e la
explained
missione di
well
Radio
the
Maria.
reality of the world of
Anche
Radio
il
Maria that
motivo
we
per
live in
cui
now,
siamo qui a rappresentare le nostre radio.
and also for those here
Come mostra
present.
lo slogan, no, che qui vediamo
And as
del
our
nono convegno
slogan
della famiglia
of this
mondiale,
this
siamo ormai al nono
Congress
convegno perché ogni 3
is
anni, il
His
primo
word
l'abbiamo
runs
avuto
swiftly.
nel 2000. Io
In
vedo qui
2000, I see
molte
here
facce,
many
io ricordo Ferrario in un convegno vedo
in a
diceva nel
conference
2003
in
vedo facce
2003
già segnate da tante battaglie per trovare volontari, frequenze, perché poi alla fine la domanda è sempre quella, Padre Livio, sono sempre i mezzi e gli strumenti, e quindi
we are always
significa
means
che
and
comunque
instruments.
un cammino
So
importante è
this is
stato
a
fatto.
journey an important journey that is being done.
Presenza qui
And so
evidenzia che
here
le parole
our
di questo
presence
salmo, no? Noi abbiamo lo slogan che è stato scelto,
reflects
che avevamo
the words
all'inizio
of
delle attività anche di
the
maggio delle
psalm,
nostre mariatone, la sua parola corre veloce,
that His word
mostra
runs swiftly,
effettivamente quanto
shows
queste parole
effectively
di questo
how
salmo
much
siano
the
più
words
che
of
mai
this psalm
attuali
are more
per la nostra
relevant
attività ormai
than ever for
diffusa
our
nei 5
activity,
continenti.
now
Anzi,
spread over 5
alcune volte abbiamo
continents.
l'impressione di essere troppo lenti.
And
per
it
le
seems to
chiamate
us
che
that sometimes
comunque
it
ci
might
arrivano dalla
feel
Chiesa.
slow.
Quindi il progetto di
For
Radio Maria,
the call
chiamiamo
of the
progetto perché
church,
nel
but
2003
the project of Radio
abbiamo
Maria
cercato
since
di riassumere un
2003
pochino questa identità di Radio Maria come l'ha
has
chiamata
taken
tu,
up this
Padre Livio,
identity
e
that
l'abbiamo
Father Livio
cercata
has
di
mentioned,
riassumere in un
and we
piccolo
seek
documento semplice che aiutasse un po'
we
tutti
seek
ad
to take up
apprendere
a
i modi di
document, a little
poter fare
document
questa radio, no? Sono regole, diciamo, prima di tutto sulla programmazione, regole
especially
che
on the
comunque ci aiutano a
programming.
creare una buona ed efficiente amministrazione e, diciamo, amministrare le frequenze. Quindi il progetto di Radio Maria cresce, si è diffuso in questi anni
so Radio
difficili,
Maria
soprattutto
project has grown
lo notiamo anche
and
nella
has
presenza dei nostri
spread
delegati,
the presence
no? Dei
of
nostri
our
presidenti e direttori
delegates
nei paesi in via di sviluppo.
in developing
Quindi
countries,
notiamo proprio la
and we
presenza di questi paesi.
highlight the presence of
E questo
these
possiamo anche
countries.
dirlo insieme ai nostri
And we can also
ascoltatori
say to you, our
che ci
listeners,
seguono e che
that
comunque
who follow
stanno
us
veramente
and are nevertheless
aiutando
still
questa
helping
missione,
our
perché si è
mission,
investito,
because we have invested
soprattutto,
above all,
anche
also
dal principio
from the beginning,
con Emanuele,
with Emanuele,
con Radio Maria Italia su
and
basi
with Radio
solide,
Maria Italy,
ed oggi raccogliamo i frutti che sono sempre
We now see today the fruits that are shown principally,
i beni materiali, ma
not
soprattutto la
principally, not
partecipazione
mainly in
massiva
material things,
dei
but
volontari
in the
laici.
massive participation of lay
Questo
volunteers.
è la cosa
And this
straordinaria
is an
che ci permette di
extraordinary
andare
thing
avanti
that
ogni giorno.
lets us go
Noi
forward
abbiamo
every day.
spesso detto che Radio Maria è un miracolo di volontariato.
This is the miracle
Questo
of
miracolo
volunteering. This miracle
avviene nel momento in cui
has come in a moment that
possiamo essere
we
testimoni
can
di
really
fede,
be witnesses
come hai
of
detto
faith,
bene tu,
as
Padre Livio,
Father Livio
e
has said,
soprattutto seguendo un
and above
esempio.
all, following an example.
Ma soprattutto quindi frutti
Moreover,
che sono
the
la
fruits that are the
partecipazione massiva di volontari laici,
the
ma
massive
anche la
participation of lay volunteers,
credibilità
also the
e la
credibility
collaborazione
and
stretta
the
con la Chiesa
close collaboration
universale,
with the universal
cioè,
church.
e le sue realtà
That
locali,
is
che
the
quindi
local
fanno di
realities
Radio
that
Maria
make Radio
un
Maria
grande
a
progetto
great
ecclesiale.
ecclesial
Questo è
project.
evidente,
This is
e
evident,
secondo me anche
and according to me,
nota il grande
and to me,
entusiasmo
I
e
see a
successo di Radio
great
Maria che c'è
enthusiasm,
anche nel continente africano.
a great enthusiasm of
Per
Radio Maria,
descrivere
especially
ai
in the
nostri
continent of
ascoltatori,
Africa.
ma per
And
dirlo
to describe to our
insieme
listeners
a
and to
noi,
say
anche
also
nelle
together
riflessioni che faremo in questi giorni,
in these days,
l'enorme lavoro
the enormous work
che svolgiamo tutti insieme quotidianamente
that
per
we
portare
develop
il segnale di Radio
all
Maria
together,
nelle
that
case,
we
nei
bring Radio Maria
telefonini e
in the
nelle auto di
homes,
tutto il
in cell
mondo,
phones,
perché
in the
questi
cars,
sono gli strumenti
automobiles
che
all over the
fondamentalmente
world,
utilizziamo.
and also through the
Potremmo citare il
internet.
numero di ripetitori
We
attivi.
can reach out to
Numeri
many
oggi
active
ci danno
repeaters,
qualcosa come più
more
di
than
2600 ripetitori
2,600
nelle frequenze digitali, in
repeaters
DAB,
in digital DAB or AM or FM analogic, or the
pensate le diocesi in cui arriva il
diocese
segnale di Radio
that
Maria,
Radio
il
Maria
segnale
signals
quello vero di
arrive,
radiofrequenza, non il segnale internet,
frequency of
cioè che sono,
internet,
secondo un nostro calcolo,
according to our
più di
calculations,
800,
more than 800
diocesi, sembrerebbe
dioceses,
quasi un terzo dell'estensione
a third
della
of the
Chiesa,
extension
quindi
of the
è tanto,
church,
se
and this is
vogliamo,
much. This
è
is
anche
a lot.
poco, per cui abbiamo
But and yet
un
still, this is
compito
little,
ancora molto importante
because
da
we still have
svolgere.
an ever
Oppure le
more
lingue parlate
work to
nelle
do.
130
And also the
stazioni
languages
Radio
spoken.
Maria, perché
130
Radio Maria è
Radio Maria
presente in
stations,
86 paesi,
more than
che poi alla fine
86 countries.
abbiamo difficoltà anche a tenere il calcolo, no? Perché
It's a little bit difficult to make all the
Radio
calculations,
Maria, e alcune volte anche noi siamo
because sometimes even we
in difficoltà sempre a mantenere
difficulties,
attiva l'informazione, però sono
we
circa
try to
130
make
le
everything
stazioni, comprese le
updated, the
substation.
information. But
Pensate, 130 stazioni
130
che
substations
trasmettono Radio
that
Maria in
transmit Radio
65
Maria
lingue
in
diverse.
65 different
lingue,
languages.
ovviamente c'è anche il grande
65,
contributo
which
delle
is a
lingue
great,
africane, ma
much of the
sicuramente
65
anche
languages
tutte le lingue
are
occidentali
African
dei
languages,
paesi
but also
dell'Europa,
in the languages
dell'Est,
of
insomma,
Europe
65
and of the
lingue
East.
inizia già a mostrare
65
veramente
already shows
qualcosa
really that
di
there's something
importante anche da un punto di vista
important
culturale.
in the cultural point of view.
Non diamo la statistica
We
degli
don't give
ascoltatori,
the
forse
statistics
lo
of
fa solo lo Spirito
listeners,
Santo, è un pochino difficile
because
dare questa
we leave it to the Holy
statistica,
Spirit
però
because it's a little
da alcuni
difficult
paesi che
to
comunque
give the statistics, but
fondamentalmente hanno avuto
from
l'opportunità di avere
some
numeri
countries,
ufficiali da parte della Chiesa, forse sono dati
the
che
official point of view, the
sorprenderebbero
point of
anche
the
noi.
church.
Cioè, sappiamo che una Radio Maria,
We know
per
that
esempio
Radio
Tanzania,
Maria,
con una
especially in
quarantina di ripetitori,
Tanzania,
ha circa 5 milioni
has
di
about
ascolto nel giorno
5
medio,
million
forse anche
listeners,
5 milioni e mezzo.
perhaps
Julius,
5 million and a half.
Qui presidente di Radio Maria Tanzania,
Here
può aggiornarci anche meglio. Quindi
here the president
come
can update
vedete,
you better.
Questo sforzo è
Our-
comunque
this
ripagato da
effort
un'enorme
is paid enormously
massa e seguito di ascoltatori, che poi è
because of
anche
our
un
followers, our
seguito
listeners.
importante che abbiamo avuto anche qui in Italia.
That is important. Also,
Quindi in
those
apparenza
that
le
we have
sfide
here
che ci
in Italy.
aspettano sono comunque
And so the challenges that
importanti.
await us are also very
Come
important.
detto,
As we have said,
come ha detto Padre Livio,
as
vorrei
Father
che ci
Livio has said,
concentrassimo comunque sulle prospettive future, perché
we
poi
also want
alla fine sì, questa è una
to
constatazione di
take a
quello
look
che
at
abbiamo
the future
fatto oggi,
prospects,
ma la
to
missione
concentrate
è
on the future
soprattutto vedere in prospettiva la
prospects,
missione del presente, che ci proietta un po' nella missione del domani, un po' come avrebbe sempre fatto
to
Emanuele,
see
no?
the
Che
the mission of tomorrow.
E diceva sempre di guardare avanti
Also
e
to
non
look,
voltarsi
always
troppo
to look
alle spalle.
forward.
Quindi in apparenza
to
le
expand.
sfide che ci aspettano sono
What
comunque
awaits
molto
us
complesse.
is quite complex.
Oggi,
Today,
ovviamente,
obviously,
dall'inizio che
from the
avevamo il
beginning,
segnale della FM
as we had
del
the FM signal from
1987, il mondo della
1987,
comunicazione comunque è avanzato anche
the
tecnologicamente,
means of communication has definitely advanced. So
in un mondo tanto
communicating
diviso, dove le
globally
risorse materiali e tecniche
in the
appaiono
technical
decisive,
and material
può
resources
sembrare arduo
can seem quite
arrivare
arduous,
domani
difficult,
in paesi dove i
hard,
cattolici sono la
arriving
minoranza, se non
from
perseguitati,
countries where Catholics are a
verranno
minority or if
concesse poche
not
frequenze,
persecuted, and so
da
granted very
autorità,
few frequencies by the
da autorità
authorities,
comunque sospettose,
and
se non ostili,
and in any case
comporterà
suspicious if
in
not
queste parti
hostile,
del mondo, cioè nella missione del
in
futuro,
those parts
un
of the
lavoro
world.
lungo,
It's a long
sicuramente tenace,
work,
e comunque anche
tenacious, surely
quindi un
tenacious
lavoro che
and
dobbiamo fare
competent
comunque tutti
work
insieme.
that we all have to do,
Questo
a work that we
appunto
have to do all
se
together.
vogliamo vedere un pochino quali
But we
saranno
want
le
to see
prospettive
the
dell'espansione di
prospects
Radio
of
Maria nelle
expansion
prossime
of
chiamate,
the
dove ci chiama
expansion
la
of Radio
Chiesa.
Maria that the Church calls us to.
Però,
But
come abbiamo anche
as
ascoltato
we've also
un
heard
po' da Padre Livio,
from Father
perché
Livio,
comunque tutto
but that
questo non si è
nevertheless
realizzato
this cannot be
solo
carried
per
out
per
only
un miracolo
by
calato dall'alto, ma soprattutto grazie a un
miracle or
lavoro
another,
quotidiano,
but by
a un
daily
grandissimo
work,
sacrificio che è
a
partito
great
proprio
sacrifice,
da
which
Padre Livio, da Emanuele Ferrario
especially
e i suoi
by
collaboratori,
Father Livio,
collaboratori di
Emanuele,
Padre Livio all'inizio,
and the collaborators
con
of the
Roberta,
beginning,
se non
if
la
not,
collaboratrice dall'inizio. Quindi
so
allora, se ci aspettano sfide ardue, ovviamente che cosa
if we have
potevano dire
challenges
loro
awaiting
se non
us,
erano complesse anche le sfide dell'inizio? Voi non avevate nessuna famiglia mondiale all'inizio che poteva dare un aiuto, e fondamentalmente non c'erano grandi strumenti, ma c'era un grandissimo strumento, che è quello che hai detto tu, no? Una convinzione, una fede. Una convinzione, una
but there's
fede
a conviction of faith, especially a love for our blessed
fondamentalmente,
Mother, Our
come
Lady.
Vedremo magari anche nella giornata di domani,
And
andando a
hopefully
ripercorrere
in the days of
un pochino
tomorrow,
le tappe di questa
there's
fede, di questa
a stage
convinzione,
of
che
this
cosa ha
faith
portato
and
questa
conviction
fede,
that we can bring this
convinzione, amore
faith
per la Madonna, ad
and
arrivare
love,
oggi
a love
qui
for Our
presenti
Lady, that we can move
tutti
forward
insieme in 82 paesi.
and go together
la storia
to
di
all
Radio
these
Maria ci ha
82 countries.
insegnato che se basiamo il nostro lavoro
And so the history
quotidiano
of
sulla
Radio
fede,
Maria has taught us
trasforma nel suo progetto
transforms them
e nelle
into
sue
her
finalità.
project and
Quante
goals.
volte abbiamo
How
dovuto fare,
often
come
we
dicevamo
had-
un po' tutti insieme, il
we had
percorso
to do-
dell'ubriacone, cioè alcune volte per riuscire a
sometimes
portare
to
Radio Maria abbiamo
succeed
dovuto fare dei
bringing Radio
percorsi
Maria,
molto complessi, ma poi
we
siamo
had
sempre
to
arrivati
do
all'obiettivo
some difficult
finale.
things, but finally we did
Ogni
achieve
paese
our
ha una sua
goal.
storia,
Every
questa
country
è la
has its
bellezza di Radio
story.
Maria,
This is
e
the reality
ognuno
of
qua
Radio
può
Maria.
raccontare
But each
queste
one
battaglie e queste
can
sfide.
share about this history,
Quindi sorge
challenges that they've dealt
sempre
with,
sorta anche a me una domanda,
and also it has
come li ha definiti
the question
Padre
comes to me as well.
questi grandi esempi,
Great
no?
example
Padre Livio,
of Father
e soprattutto
Livio above all,
Emanuele. Se fondamentalmente, ma questo lo
if
diceva anche
fundamentally,
Emanuele di se
and
stesso,
also
ecco.
Emmanuel would have said this himself,
Una domanda che
a
penso
question that I
sia
think
importante farla
would be
durante questi
important
giorni
to
di
make
lavoro
during these
tra
days
noi
of work,
presidenti e direttori.
through among us
Allora,
presidents and laborers.
di essere sicuri
To
se
be
comunque
sure,
non possiamo sempre fare qualcosa in più, ecco, insomma, di darci sempre delle sfide
to ask
importanti.
ourselves to do something
Ecco,
more.
ognuno consideri un po'
Each one should consider
quello che si può fare,
that which
considerando che comunque
each
la
one can
nostra
do
missione
for
ha un
our
valore
mission.
altissimo, come abbiamo sentito
This
da
would
Padre
have
Livio.
a great
E quindi
value,
vale la
as
pena
we've heard,
veramente
and it's really
cercare
worth
di
it
farsi sempre questa
to
domanda
try
ogni giorno, ecco.
to seek
Quindi
to answer this
nella
question
maniera
every day,
concreta che
and in
comunque
a
avrebbe
concrete
sempre
manner,
suggerito un po' Emanuele.
that
Quindi
Emmanuel
qui
would
vorrei
have
appunto prendere un
suggested.
po' anche perché mi sono anche domandato,
I also
cioè, il
ask
percorso
myself,
di questi giorni
throughout these days,
è anche importante
it is
proprio
also
per quello che ci
important,
siamo detti, per
especially
quello
as
che ci
we've said,
attende soprattutto un
we've
lavoro
heard,
in zone del
above
mondo
all,
non facili,
in
insomma, oggi la
the places
rappresenza
of
di
the
Radio
world that
Maria,
is
per
not,
esempio in
that's
Medio
very
Oriente, in
difficult,
Asia,
not easy,
è veramente una grande
especially
sfida.
in
Io
Middle
ricordo
East
che
and in
quando abbiamo
Asia.
iniziato il lavoro
It's a
di
big
Radio
challenge.
Maria
The work of Radio Maria
nel
in
2015 per la lingua araba
2015
sembrava una
in the
cosa
Arabic language, it seemed
assurda. Non so
almost
se ti
something
ricordi, Padre
absurd.
Livio. Tu hai detto no, è
But
impossibile all'inizio
Padre
farla
Livio said
sul
no,
territorio,
it's
facciamola da Roma per
impossible
tenere a battesimo
to
una produzione che poi
to
in
do it
qualche
in the
modo vedremo
place,
domani.
but we had to do it in
Attenzione, era
Rome.
un periodo
It was
in cui
a
c'era la
period
guerra,
in
c'era
which
l'ISIS,
there was
le
war,
persone
ISIS,
avevano paura
and
solo di
there was fear
testimoniare.
of
Immaginatevi
the
un segnale,
witness. Imagine
un
the
segnale
signal,
cattolico
a Catholic
in lingua
signal
araba.
in Arabic
Non ho
language.
trovato una persona
We didn't find
che
a
volesse in
person
Italia
who
far
wanted
parte di
in
questa nuova
Italy
associazione per la
to
lingua
do
araba.
this.
Cioè tutti avevano
This
paura,
in
ma
the
si aveva
Arabic
paura
language.
in piazza San Pietro delle bombe, forse qualcuno non se lo ricorda, io me lo ricordo perché avevamo i nostri volontari e vi ricordate i controlli al metal detector?
If you remember the metal detectors in
Oggi
that
piazza San
period.
Pietro è una piazza
Today,
blindata.
St. Peter's Square
Anni
is
fa fondamentalmente era una situazione diversa. Quindi
so
riprendo, quindi volevo citare
I want to
Emanuele,
cite Emanuele,
giusto che le sue parole che ci aveva comunque indicato
precisely
e che
as we
personalmente
have
mi aiutano
mentioned
sempre nelle attività di ogni giorno e che
the
penso
activity
che
of every
possano
day,
aiutare ognuno di voi
that
ad affrontare queste nuove sfide.
each of us can face
Le ho prese
the
da un paio di
challenges.
discorsi che ci ha fatto negli altri convegni,
in the other
quello del
conferences
2003 quando
in
abbiamo
2003
presentato
when we have
un po' il
presented
progetto di Radio Maria tutti insieme, lo abbiamo approvato,
the
lo abbiamo veramente fatto nostro come patrimonio delle prime Radio Marie,
as a
quelle
patrimony,
prime 20-25 Radio Marie che erano presenti, e ci siamo compromessi in questo patrimonio, in quello che facevamo e in quello che avremmo fatto e portato anche alle altre Radio Marie. Poi c'è stato il discorso molto bello anche a Colle Valenza nel 2015.
Also in 2015 in Colle Valenza.
Ognuno, dice Emanuele, si senta chiamato a partecipare a questa missione di Radio Maria, costruire i ponti indicati da Papa Francesco,
building the bridges indicated by Pope Francis, 2015
è un'opera che
a
chiama
private
a
audience.
raccolta tutti i cristiani con
It's a work
semplicità
that
e
calls together all
convinzione.
Christians with
Dietro le
simplicity and
quinte del
conviction.
microfono di Radio
Behind
Maria
the
non
scenes
esiste
of Radio
altro
Maria's
che il suo
microphone there is
ascoltatore,
no one but
poiché i
its
volontari
listener,
sono sempre
because
stati
volunteers are
ascoltatori.
always and have been
E
listeners.
quindi
And therefore,
se abbiamo un ascolto
if we-
arrivano anche i volontari.
if we have
Se noi
listeners,
che
we
siamo
also have
dietro le
volunteers.
quinte non abbiamo lo spirito dell'ascolto,
If we don't have the spirit of
cioè lo spirito
listening,
dell'ascoltatore,
the spirit of the listener,
è meglio dare spazio
it's
a chi ha
better
questo
to
spirito
give
di
that space
costanza e
to
di
the spirit
perseveranza.
of constancy and perseverance.
Sempre Emanuele dice non possiamo
Always,
perdere
Emmanuel had
tempo.
said, we can't waste
Si
time.
parla di innovazione tecnologica.
If we talk
Questo
about
perché quando
technological
parleremo un po' tutti
innovation,
insieme parleremo sempre di strumenti, però è interessante quello che diceva Emanuele, si parla sempre di innovazione tecnologica, ma la migliore tecnologia
but the best technology
è
is
organizzarsi
to
in
organize
modo
ourselves in a
semplice,
simple way.
fare test efficaci essendo attenti alle
test
segnalazioni dei nostri
effectively
ascoltatori,
by being
cioè quando
attentive
il
to
segnale
the
non
reports of our
funziona, quando
listeners.
alla fine
That is, in the end,
siamo diventati i migliori esperti di
we
radiofonia del
become
mondo, Padre Livio,
better experts
perché abbiamo
of radio,
io ricordo
because
mi ero stupito, c'era un
I was
ufficio
surprised
guasti, cioè,
that
nel
it was
senso, a disposizione degli ascoltatori.
great office, the
E il
office of
primo che
listening.
andava a fare il check dei guasti
And before
girando in auto
checking
era Emanuele, e andava a telefonare a tutti i tecnici, che non erano pochi. Questo è un pochino lo spirito del laico.
The spirit of the lay.
Non possiamo perdere tempo. Si parla di innovazione tecnologica, la migliore tecnologia è organizzarsi in modo semplice, fare test efficaci essendo attenti alle segnalazioni dei nostri ascoltatori, mettendo quindi a regime le migliori esperienze di tutti. In questo la famiglia mondiale, che è il compito di tutti noi, ha un compito molto importante e impegnativo, perché bisogna scegliere i modelli migliori, come lo avranno i responsabili delle singole radiomarie, che non dovranno sovraccaricarsi di esperimenti già compiuti dagli altri. Quindi superiamo le barriere costruite dall'uomo, consapevoli che il segnale di Radio Maria è uno strumento così semplice ed umile che le può oltrepassare semplicemente se lavoriamo a questa missione con entusiasmo e con coraggio. Senza troppi ragionamenti di convenienza, specie tra di noi. Anche il nostro modo di essere famiglia mondiale è importante per aiutarci uno con l'altro, ma soprattutto arrivare alla concretezza dei nostri progetti e delle nostre sfide. E questo richiama del Papa dopo tanti anni per me e per tutti noi deve essere come il primo giorno di un nuovo incarico in questo progetto della Vergine Maria. Quindi siamo chiamati tutti nella War Family o Radio Maria a partecipare a questa missione nel mondo. Quindi ovviamente il lavoro di ognuno implica anche il lavoro dell'altro, quindi dobbiamo essere responsabili sia di quello che facciamo nelle nostre attività, nelle nostre radio, sapendo che questo comporterà anche una partecipazione in questa grande famiglia di Radio Maria. È stata chiamata così, Padre Livio, è stata chiamata famiglia mondiale di Radio Maria proprio perché ha questo spirito organizzativo della famiglia. Ognuno dentro di sé conosce ciò che ha dato e ciò che potrebbe dare. Questo bilancio lo faremo tutti insieme, anche per comprendere il vero bilancio, e che il vero bilancio è nell'amore di tutte le anime conquistate e che dovremo conquistare. Questo è un po' lo scopo di Radio Maria, no? Tu dicevi sempre, Padre Livio, e Ferrario lo riportava sempre, che lo scopo di Radio Maria poi è la salvezza delle anime.
That the purpose of Radio Maria is the salvation of souls. This is the purpose of the church, and to accompany
la Chiesa in questa
in the
grande
point of the
missione.
church in this great mission. Therefore,
io penso che oggi lasceremo anche poi un po' di spazio alle vostre domande. Abbiamo giorni di lavoro che cercheremo di fare un po' in gruppo, li abbiamo divisi in gruppi semplici per cercare di avere la possibilità proprio di confrontarci sulle problematiche concrete poi, perché abbiamo visto che la missione è ambiziosa, ma dobbiamo anche capire come tradurla nel concreto. Nel concreto, ovviamente, quando Padre Livio questi numeri impressionano, ma in realtà il lavoro è semplice. Innanzitutto devo dire che comunque la famiglia mondiale si sta organizzando e sta crescendo anche in staff e in organizzazione, quindi il discorso che tutti volevo ringraziare anche un po' tutti i collaboratori, ma anche voi, cioè nel senso che partecipate alla famiglia mondiale, perché per raccogliere queste sfide che comunque di portare e di rispondere a tutte le chiamate che arrivano nel mondo. Oggi abbiamo più o meno una trentina di vescovi che aspettano il segnale di Radio Maria, quindi il compito diciamo non è proprio una lista d'attesa, una decina sono in cantiere, su un'altra decina si cerca la frequenza e purtroppo 10 frequenze sono in coda, perché comunque poi alla fine non è facile riuscire a far tutto. Quindi auguro un buon lavoro a tutti, un particolare ringraziamento ai nostri ascoltatori che ci stanno seguendo, che stanno veramente, sono i veri protagonisti del progetto. Quanti di voi sono stati prima ascoltatori, poi sono diventati presidenti o sono diventati direttori, perché quanti ascoltatori sacerdoti hanno ascoltato Radio Maria. Quindi personalmente saremo a fianco a voi in questi giorni. Un grazie per essere venuti, aver affrontato un lungo viaggio, e un grazie ancora agli ascoltatori di Radio Maria Italia che comunque ci hanno permesso veramente di poter iniziare questo progetto in tutti questi grandi paesi. E un grazie a te, Padre Livio, e fondamentalmente alla tua redazione. Ogni giorno siete sul campo di battaglia, la buona battaglia.
We're in the battlefield, the good battlefield, right?
Bene,
Okay.
allora
So,
buon lavoro a tutti
good work
e
to
passo
all.
la parola a Padre
I
Roger e a
pass the
Raffaele per
word
il
to
proseguimento delle
Father
attività.
Roger and Raffaele on our activities. I can do.
Molte grazie a
Thank
Padre
you
Livio che
so
ci ha
much
dato
to
proprio
Father
ha dato una
Livio, who
dimensione
has given us
spirituale e pastorale a
a
questo
spiritual,
convegno
pastoral
e a Signor
dimension of our
Vittorio che ha
work.
dato la
As
dimensione
Mr. Vittorio
amministrativa
has
e
said,
tecnica. Vi invito adesso a un
technical
applauso particolare,
and
applauso della
material
pioggia.
administrative point of
La
view.
conoscete? Un dito,
Do you know?
due,
Okay, a finger, a
tre,
second finger, a third
quattro,
finger,
cinque.
4, 5.
Grazie, molte grazie.
Thank you.
Padre
Thank you
Livio,
very
Signor
much to
Vittorio.
Father
Adesso qualche
Livio,
avviso con
Mr. Vittorio.
Raffaele.
Okay, some
Allora, ringraziamo chiaramente Padre Livio e
We thank
Vittorio
Father
per i loro
Livio and
interventi.
Vittorio for their talks. I remind you that tomorrow we will be still with Father Livio in Radio Maria Erba. We'll be there with him together. And now we have a break. Please give your headphones or keep them. The coffee will be outside to the right in the patio. Outside. The important thing is that now we have received from Vittorio and Father Livio, but when we come back in about 20 minutes, please consider this time, the microphones will be given to you. So they will be, Father Livio and Vittorio will be at your disposal for questions and answers. So you can talk about your experiences, and now you have to become the protagonist of this second part of the morning. So if you agree, now we have a break, and then we'll wait for you in 20 minutes.
Sì, grazie.